Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this super cute nursery rhyme book card using products from The Greetery and made to surprise. When you open it up, you have this three-dimensional book. Isn't that adorable? The paper collection that I used here is a super old one. I got it from a store a long time ago called PAPERFIBERS. I don't know if you are familiar with that store. But the name of the collection is Baby Boy, and it's by K&C Company. I assume there's a girl version, and it's probably called Baby Girl. But if you look it up, Baby Boy by K&C Company, you're going to see all the super cute papers. But I just love nursery rhymes growing up, and there's Jack and Jill, and the cow jumping over the moon, and there's a little Bo Peep, and I mean, so many more. I just wanted to show you how adorable these papers are, and I just think they're just so cute. So I wanted to make a project with it, and I started making a standard card, and I said, well, it's a nursery rhyme. Let's try to make it a book. So I have this die set here, and it's from Made to Surprise, and it's by Calcott. She is a crafter in the UK, and she made these dies here so that you can cut out the pages of the book and the mechanism to make it pop up. Now, my card that I'm going to show you today is a little bit modified because the nursery book itself is on the smaller side, and I really wanted to use that. However, when you do the mechanism in its standard form, this is just a card I was playing around with, that shows how it was intended to pop up, and you'll see it has a lot more dimension when it pops up on this one. So this is how you would actually use it, and this is like a 5 3/4 by 5 3/4 card size. So I did modify mine just a teeny bit, but if you are unable to get this die set right now, if you go to Sam Calcott's YouTube channel, she actually has a video. If you type in No Die Pop-Up Book by Sam Calcott, she actually will show you how to cut the paper and create kind of your own book. So if you wanted to give this a try, you can. All right, so lots of things going on today, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Now this card here is not, I did cut it down to size, again, just trying to make sure that it matched the Greetery storybook here. So it isn't like an actual, let's see, it's a little under 5 by a little less than 6.5. So it's kind of a wonky size. So you would just have to, I actually just took a 5 by 7 and just kind of cut it down. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to try to make a boy version of the same card. So this is just a standard white card base here, and I'm just going to add some polka dotted paper here just to get it started. I wanted to focus on the mechanism before we start adding too many details to the front of the book. All right, and as you know, I like to make sure that my bases are nice and flat. So we have a good base here, and I'm just going to try to make sure that that's even all the way around. That looks pretty good. All right. So in the die set, aside from the pages, which I'll show you in a little bit, there are the main mechanism pieces. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and open this up here, and I have a little dirt on my cardstock, but we're going to cover that right up. So I just selected some colorful paper. We're going to get that going here in a minute. But the main pieces you are going to get in this set are, this is the mechanism that opens the book, right? It's the main support. So you need one of these. For this one, you're going to just need one of these. And for this one, you're going to need 4 of these. So you just, it doesn't matter really what color, you're not going to really see it too much unless someone is inspecting how it was done. And in that case, you might want to do a matching color, but I'm just going to go ahead and do, it's like a thicker, I don't know, maybe 80 pounds, something like that for this guy. Okay, so I'm going to just put these pieces here, and I'm going to glue these decorative pieces in first. Okay. The book, when it opens up, is going to cover most of it, but you are still going to see some of the sides. And like I said, if you have someone who's curious about how this book was made, they're going to want to take a peek and see what's going on under there. I know I would. I really love cards that do something that are a little exciting and different. All right, so we're just gonna and you can do, if you have some rectangular die bases. I ended up going to my Sue Wilson Noble dies, which I've shown in multiple videos, and this is the number 3 largest size, and that's what I used for the front. All right, and the last one. So again, I had to modify the mechanism part just a teeny bit. When you use the die set in its truest form, when I showed the first card, the Winnie the Pooh card, what happens is when you just start the card and you try to just lay the page in, I'll show you in a second, it looks like it's gonna fit, right? And that's what happened when I started making these cards. Is I measured it and I said, oh, okay, this is gonna fit. And then when I started cutting everything and I tried to do the mechanism, the card mechanism makes it pop out. I think I'm a little bit over on this, so I'm gonna have to just trim that later. Okay. So what I mean by that, so this is the biggest size. So they don't come scored, so you just have to put it in your scoring tool and go ahead and get it halfway, score it halfway. So when you put it in the book, you're gonna go like this. You're gonna close it up and you're gonna say, oh yeah, that fits perfectly, no big deal. But when you add the mechanism parts to it, it pushes, I don't know if I can show you. Do you see how far it pushes the card? How far it pushes the card out when you close it. So that's why you need just a little more room. So this is the smallest square shape that you can do, and that was, like I said, 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. So I hope that makes sense. All right. So I'm gonna have to trim that. Okay, so this is my front. So what we're gonna have to do is take this first piece here. Okay, so again, I'm modifying just a teeny bit. If you're able to get this die set, then great. This is a smaller card. You'll have these 2 ends here. So you just wanna just eyeball and cut it in half. So I didn't really even measure it. I'm just cutting it in half. So then these two pieces should be facing that way, right? And then you can fold it in half and then fold it like this. So it's kind of like an M, but then you also have these two little legs. So it's gonna look like that. So then what we're gonna do is you're gonna start by putting glue on this tab here. All right. And then you want it to be in the center of your card. And you don't want it to cross, the midpoint of your card, right? You want that to be free. Okay. So then what we can do is we can hold it onto itself like that, push it all the way down, and then add glue to this side. Okay, and then we can close that. And whenever you're working on action cards, or some people call them kinetic cards because they do something, there's action, you always want to make sure that your glue is adhered nicely. So I could even go in here with my fingers and just make sure that that's in very well. Okay, not too bad, right? Okay, so then when you're looking at it this way, it kind of looks like a funky, I don't know, and it's kind of like a little, like a building. Geez, I am really, there we go. Okay, all right, so then you're gonna get this piece, and it is scored here. So you're just gonna fold that in half, like that, and then you're gonna have a little extra here. Just go ahead and clip that off and use the other side as your guide so that they're basically even. They don't have to be perfect. Okay, and then this is going to be the mechanism that holds the book. Okay, so we're going to glue these both sides, and you want to get all the way up to the top and all the way to the bottom. We want full coverage on both of these rectangles. This is your second main piece. So just make sure that this is in the middle, okay, and that you're holding, that it's lining up, because it'll line up perfectly with the piece you already put in. And then just go ahead and just start making it stick. There we go. We can actually do this way. Can go like this, get this side, and then you can go like this and get this side. That's a good way to do it. All right, not too bad, right? Okay, we're gonna save these pieces for a little bit later. All right, so now let's move on to, now we're gonna move on to the book part. All right, this is actually the front of the card. Okay, we're not going to glue it on to the card just yet, so we're just going to start by working on this base piece right here. Okay, so super cute. Super cute. The die set that I'm using is from The Greetery, and it is called Have a Spine. These dies are very cool. All right, so the biggest pieces, that's these pieces here. Let's see if I can do this. So this is the piece that you need to show the pretty pages. This is the piece that you're gonna need. It's this piece here, but it looks funny because of the way I'm showing you, which is this way. Okay, and then the last piece, which is this one, the instructions tell you to cut a piece of paper, and the instructions are on the back here, so it's really nice. It says to cut 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 panel of cardstock. And then once you do that, you're going to use that other die. And what it's going to do, it's going to cut this little notch here. It's going to cut this notch, and it's going to fit perfectly in the book. So what we need to do, this piece here, and these are the instructions that were provided by Betsy Veldman, who owns the Greetery, is take a piece of double-sided tape. Because these pieces here, these lines, they are actually cut. So if you went like this, they would wiggle and you would be able to see through them. So to keep them all together and flat like they are here, she suggested that you put the double-sided tape here. So that's what I did. And then we can just put this on. So on this piece here, okay, it's got the spot perfect. We're going to make sure that it goes all the way up to this notch. When I was actually, I'm going to put glue all the way on the back. Sorry about that. We need to make sure that we have glue all the way on all of the other pieces that don't currently have the double-sided tape. Okay. So again, we just want to make sure that this round matches right up to that round. Okay, and then it's a matter of the top, making sure that is straight. And you're going to see there's just the teeniest little bit of trim right there where you can see the green, which is like the back of the book. Simply genius. I love it so much. Okay, so when you use that piece, it does this little notch, and then it also has a rounded corner for you. And the reason for that is when we nestle it into the book here, we're going to use this corner as our guide to know exactly where that's going to go. So you just want to make sure. Okay, so first we're going to put glue on the back of here, and then we'll put glue on this gold piece right here. And don't worry about all of the decorations. I'll show you what I did for that. All right, so we got the back, and then we're going to add a little bit to this front gold piece here. All right, so the most important thing is to get this corner lined up first. Okay, so just make sure that that is lined up. Okay. And then when we look at this part, we want to make sure that we cover this part here, and that's where we stop. Right at the tip of this gold piece, that's where we stop. Right there. When I first cut it out, I was a little confused. And then when I realized what the purpose of this lip was, so that it looks like this is the front flap of the book and this is the bottom. It's so genius. I can't even tell you how impressed I am with Betsy's design skills. She is phenomenal. I will always and forever buy her products and be one of her biggest fans. Okay, so next up, I wanted some decoration here. So what I did is I added some tape here and some tape here. And then I used this stamp from the stamp market called In My Book, and I stamped it on here using the same, a similar color, let me say. This one happened to be the Stampin' Up! Handsome Hunter, super old stamp pad that I had, and I really like how that turned out. So I did that, and then I took the tape pieces off, and that's why you have some nice clean straight lines there. Now, these silver or these gold pieces here are actually from this piece, this book piece here. And it's all I did is I cut them. Like I said, they're individual, so if you don't tape the back, they separate. So when you take them, you have these little pieces here. All I did is I took those pieces and I lined them up with the book and just took my scissors and snipped. And the bigger piece, the bigger flap, which I should have showed you before, is where I got this piece from. Again, I just lined it up to the book and I cut it. So super cool because it's a dual purpose die. So now what I did is I used one at the top to just finish off that section there, and then I'm going to do the same thing here on the bottom. I'm just going to add a very small line of glue there. And when I say small, I mean a big glob, because that's what happened. Yikes. Okay, and then just try to put that on as straight as possible. They do tend to want to come up because they're small pieces. I've had trouble with them. So just try to line it up, and then it'll stick, no problem. You just have to be patient and make sure it stays in the right place. Okay, so I did that, and then we'll put this guy underneath it. The hardest part of this project was picking out the paper. I just could not figure out how I wanted to do it. So I redid the paper multiple times until I got the patterns and the solids and the colors. There we go. So now we have this thin stripe here, and then we have this bigger stripe here, and I just lined that up and then put that one on. And then the same for this one, right? So I just put that one there. Then before I put this one on, the top one, I used the same Stamp Market set, and I used this stamp right here, this number 1, and I stamped it on there. And then I used this cute little leaf here. You know how when you look at books, they always have like little decorative things on the spines. I love it. And then I just did one more there, so it looked even to me. Okay, so now I didn't know how to make this the front look finished. So I remembered that Betsy also created this bow bookmark, and I thought that's perfect. We're doing a book. How about a bookmark? Okay, so this is called Bow Bookmark, and that is also in the Greetery shop. It's a more recent die, so you should have no problem finding that. And actually, before we do that, let's work on the middle. I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're gonna work on the middle. So we're gonna put this on the side for a second, and then let's work on the middle pieces here. I had it all set up to do it this way, and then I didn't pay attention to myself. Okay, so here you are going to see I did 3 layers. So this was the main layer that we talked about. This is the middle layer, and then this is the middle. Isn't that adorable? Oh my gosh, I love it so much. So let's get this first one in our mechanism here. So again, these are not scored, so you're gonna have to put it in your scoreboard and score it. So when you're putting it in like this, you just want to make sure that when it opens, it's even. So you're trying to find the right kind of clearance for top and bottom to get it as even as possible. So I think that's pretty good. Okay, so then we're going to just put glue on these little mechanisms here. I think my glue might have clogged up a little bit on me. All right, so we're gonna just let it take to that side. Okay, just to start it a little bit, and then it'll kind of grab, and then we'll come on this side, kind of holding that down so it starts, and then we'll add the glue to this side. And again, you want to make sure it goes all the way up to the top. Okay, and then we can pretty much just close the book. Okay, and then we can do what we did earlier and just kind of do reinforce on this side and then flip it this way and then reinforce that side. Again, just making sure that the glue is good. Okay, so now you're going to see it just kind of flopping around. You're like, what's going on? There are supports we're going to put on later, so don't worry about that. And before we continue, I have these little, I think I got one, I didn't. These little corners. I felt that the interiors here needed a little something. And I have this little, this We Are Makers punch for a corner. And all I did is I punched those, and they come like this so that you can score them, and then you can put pictures in there. They're super cool. I thought this was something that I could use for lots of things. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna just take corner and then go to the middle so that when you turn around and do the other side, the corner, it'll be much easier to find the other corner. So it meets like that. So that's all you have to do for that. And then we're just gonna glue these to the corner. Okay. And I have, on my paper there are some dots, not dots, stitching. There's stitching on there. So I'm putting the corners like right in the corner of the stitching. All right, so let's get this other one on. Again, I'm using my stitching as my guide. There we go. And since I threw the other one on the floor, sorry about that, last one. And I did the same color as the middle page so that it kind of came back to itself. All right. So for the middles, the next pages, we're just going to add glue to the pages because we don't want to have more glue than we need. So I'll just put like a double line, and then the other side, a double line. And then before you put it in, make sure it's like facing the right way. So you'll see on the bottom, it's a little straighter, whereas this side is more rounded. So that's what we want for this section. So just again, line it up. There we go. And then we can just kind of close it. A lot of opening and closing here. All right. And for the next row, okay, we're going to do the same. Again, using glue to the middle and glue to the middle. And make sure if you're using a pattern that you do the right. I lucked out because I could have easily made a mistake there. The crafting angels were on my side. All right, so we're going to do that. Okay, and then we're going to do the supports next. All right, so no, we're not going to do the supports next. We're going to do the supports when we're done decorating. Okay, so the next thing, I took, it comes with these optional pages. It's up to you if you use them. So I did parchment because I just always think parchment is super cute because I wanted to see the design, but I also wanted to have a saying, and this saying I thought was adorable. And this is the Greetery's, what is the name of this one? It could be Bunny Tails. It's usually on here somewhere. I don't know why I can't see it, but it's a Bunny Tails here. And I wanted multiple sayings, so I picked this one here. A new chapter is about to begin, and may your life be full of beautiful stories. And I just embossed it with gold, and then there's a little flower here, and that's the same flower from, or the leaf I should say, from this set, and I used the bigger one. You know, when sometimes you get little books and they have the little extra character. Okay, so what I did is I just added double-sided tape to the inner portion. So we're going to get that in there, one page at a time, looking top and bottom. Okay, and then I thought, I don't want to see the tape. And I also thought what would be cute was a little bookmark. So I used, again, the bow die, the main piece, and I cut out, you know, when I craft, I drop things about 200 times every time I make a project, and for some reason when I drop things, they go rolling to a place under my desk where I say, how on earth did that get all the way back there? When and I have carpeting in here, so I don't know how it bounces so far. It makes no sense to me. Anywho, okay, so this is literally just this part of the bow. So I cut it, and then I just cut it up here and cut a little bit over there. And then I took my scoreboard and I scored it. And this was going to be my way of avoiding the seeing the glue. Okay, so I'm just going to fix a little snafu. I was supposed to put this in first, or in conjunction with this side, because I do want to hide, but I don't want to cover the sentiment. So I'm going to put this in here, but I'm not going to reinforce it just yet. Sorry, guys. Okay, so just going to put this, all right, like I said, kind of in the center, but I want this to stick out because I like how that looks. All right, so we're going to do that, and then we're going to use that as our guide to stick in the page, because I want to be able to see, obviously, the full sentiment. All right, so that one's good to go. Oops, and then I did it again. We did it again. Oh no! Oh no! It's a catastrophe. Okay, stick it in there. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is me trying to do a video in the evening and not in the morning. And now we're seeing how that's turning out. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's all fine. Okay. There we go. Okay. But doesn't that look cute? The little, how it looks like it's a little bookmark. We're gonna have to give that a little time. All right, so now that's in, you can see the full sentiment. Isn't that adorable? All right, and now we're ready for our supports. So these are the pieces that prevent your book from wobbling around, okay? So they have 4 score marks on each of them. All right, so we're gonna fold that one down, this one down, and then these will come up into each other. So again, you're gonna have like an M. So we're gonna do that on all 4. Down, down, make sure they're even, and then up. All right, 2 more, because we're gonna do 2 on each side. All right, down, down, and up. Okay. Down, down, and then up. All right, so we'll do this side first. Okay, so you want it facing this way. We're going to use this top one. And Sam also has, I mean, first name basis, right? Sam Calcott, who designed the dies, she does have tutorials on how to do this. Okay, and then we're just doing the top. Okay, and we're doing about here. Try to do them even. Not the end of the world if you don't, but try to. Okay, and then, yeah, it's better if you kind of do it like that. All right, and then fold them into themselves like that. And then we're going to put glue on these sides. Oh, geez, sorry. Okay. And then we want to make sure that they lay flat. There we go. And then we can hold them down. See, so it's not too bad. The hardest part is watching my mistakes, right? This is the easy part. Oh goodness. Okay, so let's do the other side. So again, we're gonna do the top. And I think, like I said, it's easy if you do it facing you, because then you can maybe get a more even, there you go. See? And then we'll do this side. Okay. Try to level it up. Okay. And then we're going to fold them into each other like that. All right. And then we'll add glue to this side. And then we're going to close it to make sure that they lay flat. All right, and then we'll hold this side down. And while that side's being held, you can just double check this side too, just to make sure that we're doing okay. So far, so good. Okay, and then you can take it and just kind of close it a little bit too. All right, so now when you open your book, the supports are going to kind of hold it. Now, these sides, when you put them in, when you put them together, you really should form them with a bone folder to give them a nice curve. Okay. For me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to for this section here, I'm just going to add some supports, and I'm just going to add some 3D foam to about there is fine. And I'm just going to do 3. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then we're just going to hold that down. Okay, and then we'll do the other side. And then it'll just kind of help the pages go where you want them to be. There we go. Always checking, double checking, right? Okay, so now when we open it up, going to support it a little bit more, and you can actually move them down a little bit more if you want. I think in this one, yeah, I think they were up a little bit higher, so I'll probably change that. Okay, and then when you're doing your, if you have one of these bone folders, they actually work nicely for giving it like a little shape. Just take your time just to break the fibers up a little. You could probably just do both. And you want to make sure that the paper that you use is not too thick for these pages, because you need to be able to mold them. They need to be able to, you know, kind of bounce. You don't want them to be too stiff, right? So, all right. So there we go. There's that. And you're going to see that this part is going to spring up just a teeny bit more. So we're going to add something to that later. But let's move on to, or move back to, I should say, the book portion. Okay. Okay, so we have a super cute book here. And these are Scrap Diva. It's a basic, it's one of her basic elemental shapes, and it comes with a ton of dies in here. And this one I used the 2, 2, and 3 from the largest for my ovals, and they fit perfectly. They fit perfectly. Look at that. Okay, so for this book, I picked cute little Humpty Dumpty. Isn't he adorable? He's so cute. All right, so let's put this one. We'll put the ovals together first. Yeah, I had a really hard time at first because I had so many fun things to play with, and I didn't know what to use or what color combos. That is always, to me, the hardest part of a project, is finding the right paper color balance when you have a lot of elements. Okay, Very cute. Okay, we're just gonna make sure that this lays nicely. All right. And then using the same We Are Makers corner punch, I cut out two gold pieces. So remember how I said we had this little notch down here? We don't want to cover that up. So we're just going to put it like right kind of above it, giving it just a little, so you can see some here and you can see some here. Make sure that's even. All right, so we're just gonna do one here and then one at the top. Okay. There we go. Just a teeny bit. There we go. Cute, right? Oh my gosh, I love it. All right, now let's move on to the super cute bow. Look how adorable that is. All right, so I cut one piece in solid blue, and that is actually playing off of this blue. And you'll see on this card, I did the same thing. I used the pink for the outer, and then I brought the pink back in to the front. Okay, so the bow die comes with this long piece. This is kind of half of that piece. Another piece here, and then one more super tiny piece. Okay, so for the second layer, I did add foam dots just to give it a little bit of height and dimension. There we go, and then just line it up on top of here, keeping in mind the oval part, right, or that part, and then the top, and then bring it over to the side and make sure that that's also level. Okay, and then this piece here swoops up, and we're just going to glue this straight on. But isn't it adorable? If you watch, go back and watch the videos for the Greetery, oh my gosh, just beautiful. Her projects are so amazing. Okay, I should stay focused because I'm getting glue everywhere. There we go. Isn't it cute? Okay, and then I'm bringing the green back in with this piece here. And that's all we're going to do with this for now. We're going to come back to this. I'm going to decorate this top piece here in a little bit. The last thing, actually, because it's going to be some stickles, and I don't want to mess that up. All right, so that's perfect. So now we can put this bow right on top. And you just want to make sure that you can't see the tails on the bottom. As cute as that would be, it wouldn't fit, because this literally just fits perfectly on the front. So let's just add some glue onto the bow. And then just try to get that on there neatly, or evenly, I should say. There we go. All right, and then we can go ahead and glue this down. So let's just put glue all over here. We're going to do the bow as well as the sides. It would even be cute if you added on the inside, if you added a little bookmark for the person you're giving this to. Like if you were giving this card for a baby shower, and you gave them a book and put a cute little bookmark in there, that would be adorable. That would be so cute. All right, so just trying to get that in the center. Look at how cute. Okay, we need to get that down there. You thought I wasn't gonna glue it down. Okay, next up, from Scrap Diva Designs, she has a die here called the Vintage Storybook. There we go. And in that, it actually makes a book. It actually makes a book. And this die here says Storybook, and then it also gives the outline. So that's where I got that from. And I went back to the green. Okay, and I did multiple layers just to make it thicker, and then the same with the book. Okay, and then same with story. So we can put those on. Okay, when I was growing up, my parents had we had a den in my old house. The person that we bought the home from was an architect, and he had so many shelves and hidden storage spots in that room. So I spent a lot of time in there because I was a nerd, and I still am. But my parents had encyclopedias, so I would, you know, as you do, go look through the encyclopedias. And in the encyclopedia set was a nursery rhyme, a special edition book, and it had a bunch of nursery rhymes in there. And when they got rid of the encyclopedias, I kept the nursery rhyme book because I love it so much. The pictures are endearing, and I mean, I know like now when you read them and you know there's history behind them, some of them are creepy, but the thought of how cute the stories were back then, like we didn't have a ton of, you know, cartoons and stuff like that, like the kids do these days. So books were a bigger deal, but I just loved it. I just loved it. Okay, so there's that. Isn't it? It's so cute. Look at how cute that is. Okay, and then it has multiple like stories in this collection. It has the spider, the itsy bitsy spider. Actually, I'm going to add glue on here because, like I said, this set is pretty old, and when I did the flowers on the other one, they were popping off. So I just want to make sure these stay on there. So this isn't Humpty Dumpty getting caught up in the rain. This is part of another nursery rhyme, just sharing the stage with Humpty Dumpty here. So if you have a little umbrella, you need cute little matching rain boots. How cute are these? Oh my gosh, I just think it's so sweet. Yeah, when you look at the set, it comes with stickers and paper and these cute little 3D embellishments. You'll know exactly what I mean when I say how cute they are. There we go. All right, that is that. Okay, so before we glue these pieces to the front, I want to make sure that okay, so this next layer can go on. That's fine. But we want it to go a little bit farther down, because when we put the bow on here, the bow is going to take up a little more room, and we want there to be enough color all the way around for the bow. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. For the bow to not go up too far. So we can go ahead and put this on, because this is going to need a lot of extra care getting this layer in here. And as you'll see, the card is popping open. You can do a belly band. You can do before, which would be a super cute idea too, is the ribbon. If you were to glue like the ribbon to this side and then put a back and then put the ribbon there, like kind of like a scrapbook, that would also be super cute, so that they had like a ribbon closure. That would be adorable. Okay, so just make sure that, yeah, this is lined up. Okay, get the top. Okay, there we go. And because it is more dimensional, you want to make sure you get all of the corners as best you can. So just kind of go in like this. You have this little part in here where you can kind of stick your fingers to make sure you get those edges. And I know that I have so much glue on my fingers. This edge here might pop up a little bit, so I'm gonna have to add a little more glue on that, I think, but I'll just try to hold it down and see if it's how much of it'll stay. Yeah, very cute. And I love this paper is this mustard paper is from the Stamp Market. Their shades of colored paper are there. I find that when I'm working on projects that their colors always seem to match what I'm working on. And I also recently got a pack of paper from Diamond Press from HSN. They had packs of their paper, and I tried it out, and I also really like their cardstock. And that is kind of what I used for like the bows. And it was a great set because it had light pinks, light blues, light greens. Okay, you're like, stop playing with that paper. All right, let me get this on here. But yeah, it's not that I want to be like faithful to one company, because I don't. But when it comes to paper, it's so hard when you have so many different stacks of paper and you're like, where did this come from? Where did this come from? I want another sheet of this. Where is that? You know, and it would be nice to have, you know, some dedicated companies. So I keep going back and forth. Like, do I do that? Do I invest and get all the paper? Do I not? And I since I flip-flop, I'm probably not gonna do it. I'm just gonna kind of, oh, but I will show you something. I will show you something that I think is super. Oh, I've been wanting these containers for such a long time. All right, so I want, like I said, I just want to make sure that this, I want to make sure it goes low enough where we can have enough space for the bow. There we go. Okay, and while I'm kind of, and it doesn't take up that much room because it's so skinny. So that is like that whole pack of Diamond Press, and then I have a whole pack of paper that I was using from the Stamp Market. So I put all of their paper this way. When I have scraps, I could just put them back in the box. Having a bit of a storm here, so let's see. Okay, there we go. All right, there we go. All right, I won't take up much more of your time. Okay, so now we see that these papers are kind of flopping up a little bit, the parchment part. So I found the cutest little sun. So he's gonna go right here on the corner, and he's kind of gonna hold, he's kind of gonna help that stay down a little bit. Okay. And then from the paper collection, I cut out this cute little fiddling cat. The Cat in the Fiddle. He's only part of a nursery rhyme. And then I just cut his body out so we could just do a little decoupaging. And then we'll put him on. Sorry, I put a lot of glue dots. Okay, so we're just going to line him up there. So he's a little dimensional and fun. Okay, and then we'll glue him to the other side. Yeah, I think definitely if I were to make this card again, I would definitely close it with the ribbon. All right, I don't want him exactly in the middle. But you can see some of the cow and the little dog and the little plate. Okay. I have this cute little yellow flower that matches the writing. So we'll put him up here. I just need a little something. And he's got a little green gem in there. I did have a little apple for him, but I don't know. Yeah, let's put the little apple in there. Yikes. There we go. All right. Here we go. Hopefully you'll want to check it out. Oh, I promised one more step. I found some stickles that matched the green here. So I'm just going to add a little, and then I'll show you how it all turned out. There we go. Little Humpty Dumpty saying hello with little rain boots, umbrellas. Edition number 1. And our little pop-up book. And then here's the first one again. And then here is the intended size, and look at how much this book pops up. It just pops up at you. You can see it better in person. I don't know how to show you. I don't know. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. And we'll see you next time. I already have my next project underway in my brain. That's where it stews until I start working on it. But if you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing. I'd love to see you back. Let me know what you think. And until then, stay safe, happy, and healthy. Thanks, guys. Bye.